Hello and welcome to the Primis Propositions Vodcast, Hear the Lion Roar. I'm Matt Brown, Head of Proposition, and I'm joined by Nikki Hemmings, Proposition Manager. Hello, Nikki.
Hi, Matt, and hi, everybody, to the next episode of Hear the Lion Roar.
Welcome indeed. So we've got a top quality guest on with us today. So welcome to Lucy Lewis from Skipton Building Society. Hi, Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Hiya, Matt. Hi, Nikki. Thanks very much for having me on today.
No worries. Thank you for coming on, Lucy. It's always good to get a building society and somebody new and fresh on. So I think you're about 5 months in, aren't you, to roll at Skipton?
I am indeed.
Probably seems longer than that, hey? Tell us a little bit about you, Lucy. So what's your background and how did you end up at Skipton?
Well, I guess I should probably start with how I ended up in financial services, which fits with pretty much everybody else I've spoken to, where I fell into financial services, having left university and looked for a temp job and happened to be given a job at Countrywide. So I worked for probably 6 years at Countrywide in their head office. So I started off in their marketing department, dealt with mortgage solicitation. So kind of it was a long time ago now. But when brokers, when we were beginning to write to customers and say, hang on a minute, you did your mortgage 2 years ago or 5 years ago, would you like to review it? So I worked there, then I went out in the field and I was a sales development manager, so I spent 3 years doing that, going out working really closely with the brokers, had a bit of time off having children, and then I found myself back at the Association of Mortgage Intermediaries, so mortgage trade body that represents broker firms. So I spent probably 5 years there, latterly as a senior policy advisor, so working on all of the FCA consultations that came out, formulating our response, making sure we understood them, having meetings with regulator and other trade bodies. So yeah, that was really interesting. Then I moved to Legal and General Mortgage Club and worked looking after lender relationships. And as you said, 5 months ago, moved to Skipton Building Society, where I'm National Account Lead. So yeah, I've done a few different things, all within the intermediary and mortgage side. So yeah, eclectic.
Excellent. I think it's funny, isn't it, where everyone does seem to fall into it, but we all seem to stay in it. So, we're obviously all enjoying it, aren't we, in the financial service industry?
It's a lovely place to work, isn't it? It's a lovely
Absolutely. So let's get into the questions for you then. I'll start off with the first one then. So obviously, we know that first-time buyers at the moment, they're facing quite a difficulty and everything like that. What do you think the main barriers are that they're facing?
That's a really good question. It's really interesting as well, actually, isn't it? Because I think the barriers have probably changed somewhat over time. The one we see a lot in the press is kind of the lack of access to family wealth or intergenerational lending. We talk about that quite a lot as well within the mortgage market. And so the Bank of Mum and Dad now, I think, is the 9th biggest lender in the UK. Some people are lucky enough to have access to help from parents or grandparents or other family members to get, give them that first step on a ladder with a deposit. Other people are not in that situation. They have to save for the deposit themselves. We've done research at Skipton recently that says that it takes on average 7.9 years to save for a deposit for your first home. And in some areas of the country, it's more than 10 years, which is massive, isn't it? And I think as house prices have gone up, obviously the amount you need to have for a deposit has increased as well. We've seen house prices go up 20%, I think, since June 2020. So since the start of COVID, really, which is massive. So, you throw into that the cost of living crisis that we've had, which has meant that lots of people are not able to put aside as much money for savings anymore because they're spending it to live. It's a real challenge out there, I think, the end of Help to Buy. So yeah, there's been lots going on. So a few challenges for first-time buyers, and they're fundamental for the housing market and to enable people to sell their first property, move on to the next. So, really important to us.
Yeah, definitely. And, in your opinion, do you think first-time buyers fully understand the home buying process? Do they understand mortgages? And, what can brokers do to help them as well?
I think it's difficult. Do they feel? I mean, it's really complicated, isn't it? We work in it every day. We talk about it all the time, and it's really complicated. We have lots of jargon that we talk about. We talk in lots of different acronyms about things, but we all know what a fixed rate is, a tracker rate is, etc., etc. And I think I don't think first-time buyers possibly can understand it all. We've done some research, like I said, at Skipton and with first-time buyers, and the majority have said that they feel overwhelmed when they're looking to buy their first property. Some feel slightly embarrassed about asking for help. They don't understand the confusing jargon. They don't know where to start. What we do know is first-time buyers are actually now with the internet, they're very good at doing their research, but actually they still very much need a mortgage broker to hold their hand on the journey and to explain things. I know when I bought my first property, I knew I had to have a deposit. I knew what I needed to save for the deposit, but the other fees and things just completely, I think I just not really realised that you have to pay for conveyancing and everything else. So that was definitely, I think that's why brokers are so fundamental for the journey. You know, they give people advice, they give people reassurance, they walk them through the process step by step, they explain to them what is going to happen, and that's even before you start to look for the right mortgage product for them. You know, that's just the dealing with estate agents, sometimes calming people down. It's all of those conversations that brokers do as well. But then you've got first-time buyers nowadays who are generally more complicated, with different sources of incomes coming in. You know, we've got student loans and debts that we didn't used to have. People often take career breaks and go off traveling. So I think with the number of lenders we have and the number of mortgages as an option, I think it's really, really important for that people do take advice from brokers. And yeah, it's really good to see, you know, the high number of people that actually do take advice, and I hope that continues.
Bang on. I'm glad you're loving the broker, because that's, you know, why we're here, isn't it? Basically to help our brokers. And you're right, you know, I think you can go across the marketplace and get, you know, advice in any part of the country. You can get it remotely now, but a broker can actually access stuff that if you just walk along the high street, you're probably not going to find out about. So you bang on. I guess, you know, that's great. Brokers can help. People are feeling overwhelmed. You touched on, you know, cutting out all the jargon, but what can lenders do to help, do you think?
I guess from a lender point of view, we can also help to demystify the process for people. You know, we've got consumer duty coming in, where we're all looking at our customer communications, the way we communicate people, to make sure not only do they understand the words in the material that we're sending out, they actually understand the meaning behind the words. So I think, you know, that's going to be really important, and just the demystification as well. I think lenders continuing to advocate getting to people to get advice. I think 92% of Skipton's business comes through mortgage brokers, so brokers are incredibly important to us. Other things you can do as a lender, so looking at innovation, how you can speed up the process, what you can do to kind of, I guess, take the sticky points out. So what we like to think is that we've invested in tech at Skipton to speed things up, but so that our underwriters can spend their time working on the more difficult challenges that actually need somebody to take a view on and to really understand, you know, rather than spending time collecting in IDMV, for example, doing the things that can be done now through technology. So I think the other thing lenders need to do is establish a really close working relationship with brokers and with networks and with mortgage clubs as well, because you guys are on the front line. You can tell us what customer situations are, how they're changing, what we can do to help. Is there anything we're missing? So I think just the relationship that we can have together to help the end customer is incredibly important.
Cool. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Good. I'm going to ask you to get your crystal ball out next, Lucy. So, you know, things are pretty volatile, right, in the mortgage market, and doesn't seem to be letting up. We're still in that space, aren't we, where I think volatile is the best word I can think right now to describe the market. What do you think, or what is your outlook for the next 12 months, Mystic Meg?
Oh, well, it's a dangerous game to play, isn't it? Making predictions about what's going to happen.
It is.
I have to say, I thought things were calming down. Then you read all the newspaper headlines again, and suddenly rates are being changed. You know, swap rates are going up. Base rate continues to rise. So I think economy-wise, we are starting to see inflation go down, which is positive. It's obviously not going down as quickly as some people had hoped, and that's why the swap rates have gone up. But I think everybody seems to be in agreement that inflation is going to go down at least. And, you know, obviously the gas prices were one of the reasons for inflation going up in the first place, and headlines are certainly saying that they are going down. So, you know, base rate predictions, that really is crystal ball, isn't it? But people are saying 1 or 2 more. I wouldn't like to put my money anywhere, because you know, things do seem to change. But I would say unemployment's low, GDP growth has been revised positively. I think at Skipton we're feeling positive. It would be fair to say, you know, we've had a really good start to 2023, better than we had expected. We've also done some good things. So yeah, there's lots to be really positive about. I think, you know, we had to pull our product range back a little bit before launch of our track record product, just to kind of make sure that we were really on it with service. So I think the fact that we even had to do that is really positive. So yeah, we're feeling good about the future, optimistic, I think.
I like it. Good. So you touched on the track record mortgage, and congratulations on that. Geez, you guys had so much press about that. I think, you know, we talk about innovation all the time, and it was just really good to see someone doing something different to help people. So I guess, you know, in view of that, what motivated Skipton to bring it to market? And the $1 million question is, how is it going since you launched it?
Yeah, great question. And that's the one that everybody kind of asks as we're out and about as well, and quite rightly so. I mean, hats off to our PR team, who, as you say, pulled an absolute blinder. And wasn't it lovely to see the positivity in the press and all the talk about, you know, the extra people that might be able to help, you know, on the back of some perhaps negativity that we'd had previously. You know, we've had really good reports from all of the brokers, not just about track record, but about the general, I suppose, the buzz that it's given, and the fact that they're being contacted by people who are wondering whether they would fit, and they're having conversations. And okay, maybe they can't help them at this time, or maybe they don't fit track record, but they can use a different product, or they're at least having a conversation now about what they can do and how they can get themselves in a position to be able to buy a property in the future. So I think not only has it been great for Skipton, but it's been really good, is my take anyway, for the broker community, and it's you know, it's instigated some really positive conversations. For us, obviously, we're a building society, we're a mutual, so one of our fundamental purposes is to get people into homes. So track record is it's kind of, you know, that's natural progression from that. We have a target for the number of first-time buyers we want to help within our corporate plan, so that follows on with that, and we're absolutely going to be looking to help more people in the future. And we recognise, as I said, we've done some research on first-time buyers. We recognise the challenges that people have to make that first step on the housing market, to save for a deposit. And I think there's been lots of noise as well, hasn't there, in the broker community about how difficult it is to save for deposit, because people are renting, and because not only are they paying their rents, but they're also paying their household bills, and therefore they're not able to save the money to be able to put down as a deposit. So it's almost a catch-22, isn't it? And I think that's the thing also with first-time buyers are getting older, so often, you know, people start their families a bit later, or they're looking for different houses now as well. So I think the research showed that it was the right thing to do. 8 out of 10 tenants said that they felt trapped in the rental market. 86% were dreaming of owning a house one day. You know, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the way to help somebody to be able to get that first foot on a market, but at the same time to, you know, for it to be sensible lending, you know, and obviously there's all the affordability, et cetera, that needs to come in, but it felt like the right thing to do. It's very much for first-time buyers, people who have been renting, people who have got that track record of being able to pay their rent. So it's it's been really good news. We've had our first applications in, our first offers going out. It's lovely to hear the stories from people of, you know, of who we've helped as well. So yeah, it's really positive at Skipton.
Oh, well, no, honestly, well done. It's cracking. We love it.
Thanks.
It sounds like a really successful launch, and helping people get up on that ladder as well. And second, what Matt said, congratulations on the launch of it, a fantastic launch of it as well. So on the back of that, now my next question's got to be, what is next on the horizon for Skipton?
Well, and I guess that is the natural question, isn't it? And obviously track record is still a huge focus to us. We're looking at the kind of people we're helping, whether we feel we're helping the right people, etc. There's going to be lots of analysis done at the same time, but as I said, we are committed to supporting first-time buyers for 2023 and beyond that as well. So we will be looking at what else we can do. We work really hard, so we've got an amazing BDM team at Skipton. They're absolutely brilliant, and we work really hard to work with the brokers and with the networks and clubs to really understand where the market is and what we can do to help people as well, because obviously it's helping brokers, but it's helping the end customer as well. So looking to really establish what the gaps are, if there's anybody who is being underserved. So we've started something recently where, so you may know, we had something called Skipton Talks, where we kind of did the webinars and we picked out particular subjects to discuss. We're now running something called Skipton Listens, whereby we get the decision makers within Skipton, so somebody from underwriting, somebody from risk, somebody from products, and we invite some brokers along as well to talk about particular topics. So we've run one on new build, we've run one on first-time buyers and affordability, and it enables the brokers to ask the questions that they've been wondering, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Have you thought about doing that? And we can have some really interesting discussions then with the people that make the decisions. And what that enables us to do as a building society is then to take that feedback back in and kind of work through and model through, well, hang on a minute, can we do that? Is that a possibility? So we're doing that at the moment, and that's really positive as well, and kind of helping us to understand how we can shape our proposition and what different things we can do to really help the broker, but also the end customer. So we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to change and adapt where we can for what the market needs. And yeah, absolutely continue to work as closely as we can with networks and brokers and clubs to fulfill the needs as well. So
sounds good, Lucy. Well, listen, I think, loads of stuff covered there. Great to have you on the Vodcast. And, it does seem like you've been at Skipton longer than 5 months, I think. So that must be good news. But no, thanks for coming on, Lucy. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you soon.
thanks ever so much for your time, guys.
Thanks, Lucy.
No worries. See ya.